In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the big crosstown rivalry series. We'll be talking a little Bears, talking some Blackhawks. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Unfortunately, the season is now over, but that shouldn't stop you from heading on over to icehogs.com, getting yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, signing up for season tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, my friend, how are you doing today?
I am doing just swell. We survived the storms last week. We got hit really hard on Thursday, and it only lasted about 5 minutes, but the hail was about the size of quarters. It felt like somebody was like dumping nuts on the top of our house.
Yeah, I was in the movie theater when that happens. I missed the entire thing.
Yeah, no, it was, like I said, it maybe lasted 5 minutes, but the wind was crazy. I mean, in just 5 minutes, you go down the block and there's tree branches everywhere and there's leaves. Luckily, everything at the house, our cars, everything's okay. So no damage done, but it was an intense 5 or so minutes, and I was really worried because my car was outside uncovered and here comes this hail, but no dents, no cracks in the windshield either. But as we were talking about before the show, Friday night I was driving over to a friend's house, and that's when the Chicago Dust Bowl showed up. And that was weird because I was in the shower getting ready to go, and I come back, and all of a sudden I hear my phone buzz, 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 and it says dust storm warning. I'm like, dust storm warning? Are
It
we
was the
in
weirdest emergency thing that came across on my phone
Are
ever.
we in Oklahoma or Montana or something? I mean, a dust storm warning in Chicago? Sure enough, I get in my car and all of a sudden, wow, that sky is really dark and kind of a tannish color. That must be the dust. And the wind was pretty high too.
Did you see the satellite pictures of
I
it?
did. I did. That was so cool because you see the storm system, like the actual storm system that brought a little more cloud and rain over the Chicagoland area. And then you see just the frickin' walls of dirt. And it's like, holy crap. That was really kind of fascinating, actually.
Yeah, weird weather. That's all we could say.
Yeah. And hey, this weekend was beautiful. You could not have asked for a better weekend, I don't think.
No, yeah, the weather was great. Um, and it was a little chilly today, but like I would not turn this weather away at all.
No, and I mean, even if it's going to be on the chilly side, it's going to get even chillier this week. It's going to be down in like the 50s, but it's a good day to at least be outside if, maybe you wear a long sleeve because, it was dry. There was really no wind. So you'll take that. I mean, at least after this week, hopefully it'll stay consistently above 60, please. That would be nice.
Before June.
Yeah, really. I mean, hey, good weather for the Crosstown series where it was good for the fans, but for the outfielders, not so much. It was really, really windy in those 3 games. But hey, you didn't get any rain during the games. You had some overcast skies, but there was never really a threat of any bad weather. So at least you had that. Because I mean, Friday afternoon was great before the dust showed up. It was a good day for a game. It was a good day for a game yesterday, and it was a good day for a game today.
I, you know, I had intended to talk Cubs versus Sox first,
Okay.
but something popped up that I want to talk with first.
Okay, I think I know where this is going.
And I think that just sort of points us to talk about the Chicago Bears first.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I mean, unless you live under a rock, you've heard the story that the ESPN reporter on record has uh, Caleb Williams' father, Carl Williams, saying, quote, "I don't want my son to play for the Bears." And they were exploring all different ways to force his hand and not go to the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
And I will say this. I don't know if I necessarily blame them.
I can't, honestly. I can't. I mean, look at where that franchise was just before they drafted him. We saw the three historic losses in 2023. We saw Matt Eberflus firing multiple of his coaches for non-football related reasons. We saw the frustration with Luke Getsy. We know the history of the Bears and offense. It's all out there in plain sight. And listen, we heard these rumors for years. We heard them for years. This isn't like shocking breaking news. A lot of us knew that there was something, some sort of truth behind it because of the amount of smoke there was. I mean, let's be real. It wasn't just like some rumor that popped up and faded. There was smoke around that rumor, and it's basically been all but confirmed. So I can't say I'm surprised, are you?
No, it's just weird. Like, so is this from a book? That's the part I missed. Is
It's
that
a
guy
pub.
writing a?
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay,
guy's writing a publication about Caleb Williams. Yeah.
okay, so that's why it's coming out now. It's like it's frustrating because Chicago is a world-class city, and Bears fans are some of the most passionate, diehard fans that exist. And the Bears are a charter organization, but I get it. I also get though that, you know, coming here, if you change that, you're going to go down in the history as the greatest, hands down greatest quarterback this city has ever seen.
Well, and here are some key things to remember is number one, Caleb Williams watched things over. He did his evaluations and he said, okay, I can work with it. He did not sit there on draft day refusing or not wanting to be here. I can say from day one that I am fully confident that when Caleb Williams' name was officially called, he wanted to be here. He was ready to be here. He was ready to be part of this city and these fans and this franchise. And I have no doubt that that feeling is stronger today than it ever was with the hiring of Ben Johnson. I don't think anybody should look at this story and look at Caleb Williams in a bad way or look at him in a way where they think, oh, he doesn't want to be here. He wants to be here. I am fully confident in that.
Yeah, I agree with that. My concern is not for him wanting to be here now, is what's going to happen in 4 years when that contract is up. Is he going to sign an extension with the Bears?
If Ben Johnson is the coach he is, yes.
That's
This
that's
is a
my only
completely different regime now.
um yeah, that's my only fear is what happens long term. But
I get it, but I think that you have a chance to flip every narrative with Ben Johnson in charge now.
and I do want to talk about that. Well, indirectly. So I I still have a lot of reservations about Ryan Poles.
I do too.
Um, it's sometimes he seems like he knows what he's doing. Sometimes it seems like he is just a complete boob. And the fact that, you know, all right, I will give him some leniency with the Eberflus signing because we don't know what happened still behind the closed doors. Was he sort of like, hey, I'm a young GM just hired and they've already interviewed head coaches. I'm kind of being pushed into this, kind of like when Ryan Pace was given a head coach. Like, was that sort of a match? And he felt like it was a package deal. And uh, I know he said he interviewed him beforehand, but was it one of those things where like, oh, you get to meet your arranged marriage the day before the wedding? Um, I don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever know. But the fact that uh, multiple coaches under Eberflus were fired, Getsy was a disaster, and there was no talk of firing Eberflus. And we know he was a disaster. We know that was a disaster head coach. And then you as Ryan Poles helped handpick the replacement for Luke Getsy and Shane Waldron. You were directly involved in that. And he turned out to be a disaster. You you said that you wanted to give a softest landing possible for a rookie quarterback, but you didn't give him an offensive line and you didn't give him a good coaching staff or any offensive help. That's all on Ryan Poles. Then what comes to light where Caleb Williams talked about nobody sat with him to watch film. He didn't know what he was supposed to be watching for.
Ugh.
That is on Ryan Poles. If you come down there and you find out that your rookie quarterback is sitting alone in the film room and not with the coaching staff, if I'm the GM, I'm coming down and cracking skulls. Like I'm coming through Hallis Hall like Godzilla through Tokyo.
Oh, wise guys, crack.
Um, and then, even going to this year's draft, like I think you fumbled that a little bit. It's very, very evident that you wanted one of the top running backs and you didn't get one. And some of them you got snaked. Some of them, you tried to make a trade and didn't work out. We know that they tried to trade up one pick with the Patriots to get Travion Henderson.
That could
Um,
that could be costly, man. That I
and
just
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's that's why I'm shocked that Nick Chubb is not in a Chicago Bear uniform at this point. That is a stopgap there. Um,
I mean,
but
maybe it still happens. Maybe they're medicals. I don't know, but yeah, we'll
um,
see.
and I get the draft doesn't always go your way, but I felt like he scrambled a little bit and was not prepared for it to not go the way he wanted to. And
Yeah,
that's
I don't disagree. Even though I don't think it was a bad draft, I thought it was just a meh draft.
you know, I'll agree with that. It's the first 2 days or the first two rounds, I'm good.
I'm good. Yes, with Loveland, I'm more than good with that pick.
Yeah, I'm good with Luther Burden. I'm good with Ozzy Trapillo. I'm good with Shamar Turner. Like then after that, it's just like you start to go, okay, okay. Those seem like you reached. Um, but and then the last one I want to say is remember the end of the year press conference when he was basically sitting in the corner while Kevin Warren talked and he got I think I heard the term sunned. He he was little brothered.
Yeah, I see. You bring up a lot of talking points, and just to kind of reflect on some of the points you made, I I don't get the sense Ryan Poles wears the pants over there on a number of things.
I don't know exactly what Kevin Warren does other than try to build a stadium, and that's kind of been its own debacle. But I can say is he talks a good game, and I honestly feel him and the presence he brings, the gravitas, I think that helped bring in Ben Johnson. And the Ben Johnson thing is going to be what turns this whole organization around.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I was thinking about this too, and I'm glad you brought this up. So, if I may give my 2 cents on all the points you made.
Give away.
So, my thing with Ryan Poles, and again, going on some of the points that you made, is like you said, this draft was kind of eh. And I look at the Bears roster, and I just don't know if they've done enough roster wise to close the gap enough with some of these teams. I think that you can argue that you've closed the gap a little bit with hiring Ben Johnson, but that can only go so far. I mean, the reality is, if you look at some of the key areas of your team, you're still dead last in a number of them compared to the rest of the division. Your running game, it is way behind everybody in this division. Everybody else, the Vikings, the Lions, the Packers, their running game shames yours. It's nobody's afraid of DeAndre Swift being their number one back. Nobody. And I still think their offensive line is far and away the weakest. Is it better now? Yes, but the Lions is probably the best in football. The Packers is very, very good, and the Vikings might be among the top five too. And you're not there yet either. I don't think you have enough pass rush. I think you're good in a number of areas, but in certain positions. And let me say expand upon that too. How many difference makers do you have on this team? You have guys that are good. You have guys that you could put in position who are valuable, but there is something to be said about having guys who change a game themselves. Khalil Mack in his prime, you could put him in any scheme and he'll just wreak havoc because he's that good. Tight end wise, you put George Kittle out there, that is a guy that's going to be a difference maker right there. Saquon Barkley, it doesn't matter what formation, what your line is doing, he will find a way to make a difference by himself. And I don't think the Bears have enough of those type of players. I just don't. Now, a lot of it is going to depend on what Caleb Williams does, obviously, but that's remained to be seen. Now, that's kind of where I'm at with the roster and Ryan Poles. I still think it's lacking a little bit when it comes to the coaching. You talked about Shane Waldron, you talked about Eberflus and Getsy and whatnot. That is where I'm not sure Ryan Poles wears the pants. Because if Ryan Poles wanted to fire Matt Eberflus, I don't think he would have had the power to if it had not gotten past George McCaskey at one point. And remember this too. What was a common theme with Poles, with Shane Waldron, with Eberflus, and some of his coaches? What was a common denominator with all of those?
Trace Armstrong.
Trace Armstrong. And it is a fact that the power of the agent is stronger than the regular fan realizes in the NFL. That is a sophisticated network that goes beyond what we see. So I'm not absolving Ryan Poles of all that, but I don't think it's always as simple as Ryan Poles wanting to keep or get rid of Matt Eberflus or hiring what. Again, not absolving him of that, but I think it's just a little more complicated considering we know the McCaskies have never fired a coach mid-season until Matt Eberflus. I just don't know if he had the power to do it. Now, can you still maybe debate that it was the fault of him for hiring him in the first place? Sure, you said it was an arranged marriage, and I think to an extent it was. You had a very small pool of what the McCaskies wanted, and again, you did the Bill Polian thing, just like with the Ernie Accorsi thing with John Fox. I mean, we saw this bullshit before, and the only reason that you were able to luck into Ben Johnson was one, Ben Johnson wanted to be here. Two, you had the appeal of Caleb Williams to Ben Johnson, and three, George finally seemed to understand it. And I think having Kevin Warren around helped too, because there was no Ernie Accorsi. There was no Bill Polian. This wasn't just George going out and making the decision on how they're going to do this. They did their due diligence. They had a prime candidate who wanted the job, kind of fell into his lap there. So just wrapping this all into my ultimate point is yes, I am with you. I still have major reservations on Ryan Poles for a number of reasons. I think it's debatable on where I have these reservations and where other reservations come from in the eyes of other people. But I, what I'm hoping is ultimately, and it kind of sucks that we have to be here, is that Ben Johnson idiot proofs this team. I hate that we have to say it, but that might be our hope.
I mean, it's true. And I want to expand on one of your points about DeAndre Swift. Um, I don't know if you heard Eric Bieniemy's quote about him. Well, he didn't say directly about him, but when I tell you the quote, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's about DeAndre Swift." Now, more than anything, we've got to make sure he understands uh, that he can find 4.5 yards between the tackles. That was a quote, and that was on the radio. So it's not an anonymous source saying he said that's there's recording of it. He said that. Um, and the hope is with an improved offensive line, with an improved scheme, and Eric Bieniemy is already coaching these guys hard. I don't know if you saw clips
Oh
of
yeah. Oh yeah.
uh, "Don't touch my fucking cones."
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
I I love it. They need it. They need it.
I wish Eric Bieniemy took one of those cones and like Mo Howard somebody just like just forced it on somebody's head.
He just starts swinging them around like medieval weapons. He
Don't
grabs
touch my cones.
he grabs two cones, and then suddenly there's a chain between them, and he's swinging around like nunchucks.
You just see the players fleeing in like circles, like waving their arms as Eric Bieniemy swinging cone nunchucks.
Oh God. Yeah, so but I mean it's all frustrating to hear the Caleb Williams stuff. And it just made me realize that Ben Johnson it might be the savior of this franchise.
He might be the savior, and you know what? You can say this too. I just said it a minute ago, but I'll reinforce it. He just fell into your lap.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
fell into your lap. And you know what else happened to Ryan Poles? You know who else fell in his lap? Caleb Williams.
Yeah. I mean, we could have had the number one pick this year. Like, I'm not talking bad about Cam Ward, but last year's quarterback class was significantly better.
Right.
So
Right.
you got the number one pick in a quarterback draft that was significantly better.
Right.
And, I expect, I mean, put it this way, is Caleb Williams, there'll be people that dog him. Oh, he was terrible this year. The kid threw for 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns versus like what, six interceptions
Yeah.
with no coaching staff.
With a bad
Nobody helping him
scheme.
out.
Right. Exactly. He took it on his own. And with a mess of a team, with a poor offensive line and no coaching, he put up a respectable season. And honestly, it's arguably one of the better seasons ever by a Bears quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, if you just put that as a rookie quarterback numbers, like those are good. Like you're just
Yes.
you're comparing it because the reason that they don't look good to certain people is because Jaden Daniels put up arguably the greatest rookie quarterback statistical season ever. Followed, I mean, it was 1 year after CJ Stroud put up what was then arguably the best rookie quarterback statistical season ever.
Yeah, and
So
I think people judge off what CJ Stroud did a few years
yeah,
ago.
that and the apparent head to head with Jaden Daniels, like that's what you're comparing it to. And sure, did he have the greatest rookie quarterback season ever? No,
No, no.
absolutely not. But if you if you look at those his numbers and there was no Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud didn't do what he did last year. Let's say CJ Stroud even did what he did this year. You would look at Caleb Williams a whole lot different. And so, there's a whole lot more hope there because you're like, this kid got no coaching. And it makes you realize what bullshit Hard Knocks was when you have Eberflus sitting there coaching him up and talking with Nick Saban about how to coach him. And you're like, no, you didn't do anything, you jerk. You didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You're a
Right.
ruiner. You're a ruiner.
Yeah. But ultimately here, I'm not worried about Caleb Williams in the sense of wanting to be here. I don't think that Caleb Williams would have the attitude that he has if he didn't want to be here. And I really do think that, a lot of the initial concern, even though it wasn't ultimately good with the first coaching staff, I think he was clearly able to help make himself comfortable with what he was looking at going into the draft and saying, okay, I'm going to be a Bear. And that's made very clear in this publication. We've seen the quote, though, he was clearly visibly frustrated. You remember that Shane Waldron thing when he sat next to him in that Patriots game when they fired him?
Yeah.
I mean, he was clearly pissed off and unhappy, but if he did a Farrell-like scream when they hired Ben Johnson, then I'm not going to be too worried. I am not going to be too worried about his willingness to be here at all. I think this is something that can be easily moved on from, especially if Ben Johnson is successful with him.
Two things more I want to say about it. Is one, based on his reaction of draft weekend last year, I would never have thought this
Right.
because he was clearly excited. The bear claw and calling up Roma Dunze and like he was happy to be here.
Yep.
And so when they say like he said that he wanted to be a bear, like I think he really got sold. Um, and my feeling is that they probably told him that you've got a chance to set the standard of what a Bears quarterback is.
Hmm.
And in short order, I mean, there's a very good shot that by the time he signs that second deal, he could be the greatest quarterback in Bears history.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't take that much. Um, so that's a selling point. I mean, the like the opposite is true is, think about how many players are hesitant to come to the Bulls because of they'd be in the shadow of his all time of Jordan. And,
Yeah, right.
I know NFL's a little different, but still like it's tough. You as a player, you want to be the best. And, if you're a quarterback go, going to New England, it's going to be a real tough, tall order to be the greatest Patriot quarterback ever.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's going to be taking that mantle anytime soon. And don't get me wrong, I think that Drake May is going to be pretty good, but Tom Brady good, that's a tall task, a very, very tall task. Not saying it can't happen at 0%, but it's a tall task.
Um, but I mean, I just, at the end of the day, when the Bears win a Super Bowl, this is all going to be something we all laugh about.
I hope. I hope. I want that. I want to see that day. I want that day to come.
It's been a minute. I've seen one. I've seen a Bears win a Super Bowl,
Must be
and
nice.
and the problem was I was a little kid, so I didn't understand the historic perspective on this. Basically, as far back as I can remember, the Bears were good. So them winning, I was like, okay, this is cool. Everybody's excited and happy. But now I'm old and I I look at this, I'm like, man, these Super Bowls are really hard to come by. You gotta, you can't take any of these championships for granted.
No, no, winning a Super Bowl is very, very hard.
And I've now seen the Cubs win a World Series. I've I've seen the Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup. Uh, and I've seen obviously the Bulls. I
I was too young for that.
um I've seen the White Sox win now, and I've seen the Bears win, but not as an adult. So I want to see that. It's been like 40 years. It's a long time.
I want to see a period.
Um, what else about? I had saw another point about that, but I don't remember what it was. Uh, I don't remember. But as the stadium pendulum swings, we're back to Arlington Heights being the sole focus.
Yep, and I'm not surprised. I just want it to get done already.
I mean, that's where I'm at this point. I don't care. I just really don't care. They'll figure it out. I just want to see shovels in the ground.
Me too. Me
If
too.
I'm in the camp of I want it downtown, but I agree that there's logistic hurdles that they need to solve for, but there's also hurdles that they need to solve for in Arlington Heights. It just seems like there might be an easier pathway to solve for some of those. Um,
Well, and the opportunity to own your own stadium and to build a whole neighborhood around it. I just think the opportunity in Arlington Heights is so high.
yeah, uh, I just really, I just want to see the shovels go in the ground.
Me too.
And then the last thing is the schedule came out.
Yep, I have it right here, right in front of me.
So the Bears have at least four primetime games.
None on Thursday, though. No Thursday night football this year.
That's good. I hate Thursday night football.
Heh.
Like I will watch it, but I, you know, like I like having football on Thursday. Okay, take that back. I hate when my team plays on Thursday night. I like that there's a game, so if I don't have anything else to do, I can sit down and watch a game. Then I get Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday games. But I don't like when the Bears are on because it just, I don't know, it's weird. I don't, I'm usually out on Thursday night, so then my whole plans get messed up, and then I have to go to work the next day. Don't like it. Um, but we've got opening opening game is on Monday Night Football, and week 16 and 18 are TBA for the time. So those could both be primetime games, especially that Detroit one, the last game of the season, very well could be if the Bears and the Lions are both, good.
Yeah. Boy, this schedule, though, this is brutal. This schedule is really freaking tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we go through it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So week one, they are opening the season at home versus the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. Week two, they go to Detroit. That is a Sunday noon game. Week three is home against the Dallas Cowboys, which is a Sunday noon game. Week four, they go to Las Vegas, and that is a Sunday afternoon game. Week five is their bye week, and that
Yeah,
one's the shitty thing.
that sucks.
I either want to see it like around week 8 or later.
I think week 10 or 11 is like the most ideal time to have it.
Yeah, I just want it at least halfway point. Week 5 that's tough.
I mean, personally, I'd be okay if they built 2 bye weeks into the schedule for each team.
That's what I'm talking about is they really should. They should have 2 bye weeks and it makes it more fair. Uh, or um they, I don't know. I just it's make one early and one late and then nobody's got that unfair advantage.
Think about it. It's like week 5 or 6. You alternate. Half the teams have a bye week 5, half the teams have a bye week 6. And then, you go later and say, okay, half the teams have a bye week 14, half the teams have a bye week 13, something like that.
And if they go to 18 games, which an odd I don't like the odd number of games in the season, but if they go to 18 games, which I think that they're going to, they almost have to have another bye.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we have 18 game seasons, the good thing about that too would be every team plays the same amount of home and road games. Obviously, you have the teams that play international games, which can be home or away depending on who has it. But, regularly, normally, in terms of teams you have home and away, it's even again.
Yep. So week 5 is the bye. Week 6, they come out of the bye and they go to Washington to play the Commanders, and that's a Monday Night Football. Week 7 is at home versus the Saints. That's Sunday noon. Week 8 is they're going to Baltimore, and that's going to be a tough one. That's a Sunday noon game. And then follow that up with going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. That's a noon game on Sunday. Home versus the Giants. That's a Sunday noon. Week 11, they go to Minnesota. That's a Sunday noon. Week 12 is home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Sunday noon. And then on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, um,
In Philadelphia.
in Philadelphia. That is a Friday game.
That was
Um,
rumored to be week 1 matchup for a while, and then they debunked that.
yeah, I'm glad it's not week 1.
Yeah, me too.
Week 14, um, oop,
You're at Lambeau Field against
you're
the
at
Packers.
Lambeau, and that's a noon game. Week 15 is home against Cleveland. That's a noon and Sunday game. Week 16 is back in Chicago against Green Bay with a TBA for the time and the day. Um, Week 17, you go to San Francisco, and that is Sunday Night Football. And then week 18 is home versus Detroit, and that's TBA.
Yeah, I could definitely see that one getting flexed if it means anything.
Um, yeah, I mean, this it's hard to know what the teams are going to look like at these point because anything could happen.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Like, you know, right now you're looking like, man, Baltimore could be an absolute just a problem in Baltimore.
Yep.
Uh, later in the season, yeah, that's a problem. But what if Lamar Jackson goes down? Again, that's a completely different team. Um,
Oh, yeah, I mean, you could say that about virtually any of these teams. I mean, but yeah, no, you're right. I mean, right now, it looks pretty, oof. Like, it looks like to me, just from a pessimistic view, I'm like, 7, 8 wins at best. But a lot can happen. A lot can happen. I mean, there's never a gimme in the NFL, but you can identify the matchups where you feel a little better, like right off the bat. It's like, okay, like the Saints at home, the Giants at home. Who knows what the
Cleveland
Steelers,
at home.
yeah, who knows what the Steelers will look like at that point. But, it's like, geez, the
If
division obviously is just,
if
oof,
the Steelers do not sign Aaron Rodgers, uh,
yeah,
the 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 Bears could really have four kind of gimme games with the. I mean, as far as NFL goes, the Saints are going to be brutal.
right.
Cleveland has a chance to be brutal. Um, Pittsburgh has a chance to be brutal, and the Giants have a chance to be real brutal too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, it's the division games and it's playing teams like the Eagles and the Commanders and the 49ers. I mean, those are going to be some really tough matchups because you figure the NFC North is still going to be very, very good. I mean, the one thing about week one is we'll be seeing, assuming health, JJ McCarthy starting for the Vikings. And, we don't know what that's going to look like.
No.
Honestly, and I was saying this to some of my Vikings fan friends. JJ McCarthy is a guy where I look at him and I say, I have no idea. Like what I think he's going to be in the NFL, I have absolutely no clue what my expectations are for JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, and what he did at Michigan doesn't like tell the tale because they didn't ask him to do a lot. But whenever they did ask him to do something, he did it really well. It's just
Right.
they didn't ask him to do a lot because they were a play tough defense and run the football kind of team because it was
Exactly.
Harbaugh.
Under a coach that was and is again an NFL coach.
Yeah, so you you look at that and you're like, okay, how do I translate that? And it's tough to translate. But everything that JJ McCarthy was asked to do at Michigan, he did it excellently. So, if you have a crystal ball and you tell me that JJ McCarthy winds up as a pretty good quarterback, I'll say, okay. But if you tell me he's a bum, I'm like, okay. Like nothing is going to, surprise me with him. The only thing he will, if you tell me that he is good to start this season, that might be a little bit surprising. Just because he's like he's young. Is he even 21 yet?
I don't know honestly, but I mean
Um,
he'll have a year as a professional under his belt, but he didn't play because of the injury. So it's not technically a rookie year in the sense of being with an organization, but it'll be a rookie year in the sense of actually playing.
okay, he just turned 22, but he's young.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in his second year and he's 22. So he's young and he's never thrown an NFL pass. Um, week one going to Soldier Field is not going to be an easy time.
On
They're gonna have to
on
run the
national
ball.
TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Which you better be ready because they still have Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones has absolutely kicked your ass at Soldier Field.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Big Bill better be ready to you know bust up some running plays.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's kind of a nice way to open the season. It's a rivalry game. It's a meaningful rivalry game, but
It's not the
it's
Packers.
not the Packers and it's not the Lions. I mean, obviously the Lions would have been a bigger storyline with Ben Johnson and everything, and obviously the Lions being the defending champs of the NFC North. But I had a feeling it was going to be a division game, and I had a feeling that it was going to be either the Packers or the Lions, but it ended up being the Vikings, which is like, okay, that still makes sense because I had a feeling the Vikings or the Lions were going to be week 18, and it did end up being the Lions week 18. But you might as well have the Packers towards the end of the season too, and they are. I do wish those games were a little more spread out, but I mean, it's Packers, Browns, and Packers again. It's like, geez.
Uh, it's funny though that for the second year in a row, they really packed in some division. Or, I mean, your division games at the end of the year. Uh,
Well, yeah, from week 11 on, one, two, three, four division games from
I
week
mean,
11 on.
from week 14 on, it's three.
Yeah, there you go.
Three of your last five games are against the division.
Yeah. God, can we please just win this year?
Um, based on so the Athletic has a model that they use to calculate wins, and they predict the Bears to be 7-10, and
Yeah.
with a 16.7% chance to make the playoffs. and a 0.9% chance of winning the Super Bowl. The the good news though is like models and calculations and guesses and predictions, they don't matter. And that's why you play the games.
Right. And again, the one thing, especially with football more than any other sport, is injuries always play for better or for worse when it comes to seasons, or just the fact that football is a weird game and sometimes you get some breaks and sometimes you don't. And that can make a big difference in a 17 game season. And we don't know how big of an impact Ben Johnson is going to be year one. How much is he going to change that system? How well are players going to fit into that system? How well are they going to execute on the little things that they haven't executed in the past? Those all make huge differences.
I know one thing for certain, they better not touch those fucking cones.
Do not touch the cones. If you touch the cones, Eric Bieniemy will eat you in his office.
You just hear a primal scream. And then this is not necessarily Bears related, but this came up this week. The idea of an NFL draft lottery. And my personal opinion, I love the NBA lottery. I love the NHL lottery. I'm indifferent to the baseball lottery. Um, but the idea of an NFL draft lottery makes me kind of ill. I hate it. And when I look at this, is, you know, NFL players are competing for the most part. I mean, there's some that just you sort of quit, but that last week, how many times have there been teams that are bad? And that last week of the season, they just put it all on the line. They win games and their fan base loses their mind because they ruin the draft position. That doesn't really happen in other sports. Uh, Front offices and ownership might try to tank, but NFL teams don't tank. There's too few. There's too few games in the season to do that, and we have not seen that. And plus, you know, with the way that you know uh, the NFL is, I think it does a big disservice to your bad teams and the level of parity that you've. I mean, because you for the most part you have good parity in the NFL. There's a handful of teams that year in and year out are bad, but for the most part is you've got some pretty good parity in this league, and the potentially having a draft lottery could upset that apple cart. I mean, can you imagine if uh the I don't know, the 49ers won the draft lottery? Like
Y-
they're a team that had a lot of injuries, and but you expect them to be a lot better this year, and you suddenly give them the number one pick. Like that just doesn't sit right with me. NFL is different.
I agree. I don't want a lottery in the NFL. I really don't. Like you said, there's too much parity. There's too much going back and forth between, teams contending and not. We see windows open and close quickly. Obviously, you have your core, I would say, of teams that have like, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, and you had all those years of Big Ben and the Steelers and Brett Favre and the Packers and you have those groups and obviously Tom Brady and the Patriots, but around the league, there's a lot of just ups and downs. There's a lot of changes, and I don't think you need a draft lottery there. Sometimes, yes, you see teams that play for, we saw the Bears do it. I mean, they tore it all down, but in a league where you play 17 games now and you are either managed well or you're not managed well and you get some injuries or you stay healthy, a lot of different things can happen.
Yeah. Yep. Is there anything else, Bears or football, you want to talk about?
No, I think I covered pretty much all of that. I'm glad we were able to go through the schedule because I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, it's it happened, and it's funny because they make a big thing of it, and then by the Caleb Williams stuff popped up and just sort of drowned it out.
Right, exactly.
All right, so the Cubs finally got themselves a sweep, and it was against the White Sox. Uh, and right now, we're still in you know mid to late May, but what are you thinking if the season were to end right now? Would PCA get any votes for MVP?
I think he has to. The way he's playing right now, I mean, he's doing it all. He is hitting bombs. He's not just hitting gappers and hitting the wheels on the base paths. He's hitting them over the fence and hitting the gaps as well. And, obviously, we see what he can do with the glove. He is a better eye at the plate and more patience away from being truly a complete player. And I don't think he's ever going to be the uber patient guy that like Ian Happ is or Kyle Tucker is. But boy, if you get just a little more patience from him in certain areas with what he's doing right now, whew,
He's just he pushes the envelope, and it caught. I mean, agent of chaos. Like that's really what it is when you put the pressure on the other teams, bad things happen to that team. You see mistakes, you see bad throws and bad fielding and bad decisions when he's doing things that you're not expecting a baseball player to do. Oh, he's trying to take second on a single. Oh, all right. Well, hits it in the outfield, and you're like, oh, now he's making that turn. Now I've got to decide: am I trying to throw him out at second? Am I trying to keep the runner that was on third from going home? Like, what am I doing? As a position player, you've got scenarios in your head of what you're supposed to do, and when somebody challenges that, and you have to make an instantaneous decision, there's a good chance you're going to make the wrong one.
well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned that whole Agent of Chaos thing, and how many times have we seen it where he just puts the ball in play and maybe it's a small tapper or something. It's going over to third, it's going over to short, whatever. It's not hit very hard, but the player knows he has to hurry because he's got that speed and he ends up making a rush throw. Next thing you know, the throw goes off the dugout wall and PCA's at second or third.
Yeah, I mean that's really what's happening is he's so fast, he's so aggressive that you've got to force things earlier than the timing you're used to and make decisions that you may not be normally used to making. And um, it's he has been just I mean, when we got him in the trade for Javi Baez, people talked about, oh, this kid is going to be good. I didn't expect this kid, especially after what we saw last year when he had some time in the bigs.
Right. I mean, I was really hoping, and again, a lot can happen this season. But I was hoping at minimum be like, okay, if he can be just a respectable hitter, you're going to be very, very valuable in a league where defense is still very, very important, especially in center field, and can be used as a weapon on the bases. But if this guy's going out there and hitting for power, holy crap. I did not expect going into this season and we'd be sitting here a week before Memorial Day and your best power hitter has been Pete Crow Armstrong. Among a slew of good power hitting that you're getting from this team, you have a lot of guys already in double digits. That includes Dansby Swanson and Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki. Even Carson Kelly's going to be there soon. And you're just seeing a lot of good power across the board, but I wouldn't expect Pete Crow Armstrong to be the leader of that.
No, no, you don't. Um, and but here we are. And let's see. Doing some quick math here.
On your abacus.
I am out of my abacus.
You stole it from Ding Dong George. Wait, where's
So,
my abacus?
do you know what PCA is on pace for number of home runs?
Isn't it like 40 something?
41.
Hmm.
He's on pace for 41 home runs.
I don't think he's gonna get that, but that's pretty crazy.
No, I don't think he will either. But I mean, just think it's May. Like the home run hitting season is for at Wrigley Field is when the weather warms up. So
Which we're starting to see finally.
yeah, so I mean when it's cold and windy, it's hard to hit home runs at Wrigley Field. But when there's no wind or the wind is out, oh, and it's just hot, man, those balls pop out. So I mean, does he have a shot? Anything's possible, but I would be a little bit shocked. But just, the way he's been hitting the baseball has been incredible. And he's an incredible outfielder.
Yeah, I mean, I know he lost the one in the sun on Friday, but you saw the play he made on Saturday, right? In
Yeah.
center field on that, ball going back towards the center field wall. It's plays like that that make big differences in games. And think about this too. When you're out there the way he is, and you have those big gaps at Wrigley Field because Wrigley Field is such an odd shape. The really deep wells, and then it becomes super, super short, and then that intent kind of closes around, and then you have the center field wall. So it's a weirdly shaped outfield. There's a lot of different dimensions, and then obviously the wind plays a big factor with all of that. So to have somebody with that caliber being out in one of the trickier outfields to play in the majors, I would say Wrigley Field is among the hardest. That adds a lot of value there. It really, really does.
I mean, the part of the beautiful thing too is when he's healthy, Ian Happ is a pretty darn good outfielder too. And uh, you feel confident him being able to patrol left field by himself and covering it pretty well.
Guy's a gold glover.
Yeah. And then PCA can help out whoever's playing right. If uh is because he can cover a lot of ground. You can have him shift, cheat slightly towards right field and help cover some of those.
Although we
It's
have seen a little bit of miscommunication with Hap and PCA that they're working on, but hopefully that gets ironed out a little better.
in that comes with time a little bit.
Right.
Um, but you hope that, I mean, it's two really good outfielders that are both really fast, and those things happen. When you're the fast guy, especially when Ian Happ has played center field, it's and he's the fast guy. You're so used to just taking balls. And PCA, I'm sure every level he's ever played, he's been the fastest player and the best outfielder. And, he's used to just going and running and taking whatever. So,
Hmm.
it's a little bit of uh, you know, an immovable object running into an unstoppable force. But
Right.
they'll work through that.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, he's still very young and he's still not a complete product, like I alluded to before.
Yeah, no, he's still got room to grow.
Right.
That which is the crazy part. Um, Moises Ballesteros is up. What have you thought about his first action as a Cub?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously has been hitting it on the ground a bit, but I feel like he's getting some good swings. Even today, when he didn't get a hit, he hit some really hard hit balls that were made by nice plays. So I can't really fault him too much for that. As long as the swing looks good, that's what really, really matters. And I'm impressed with his way he's able to make contact with the ball. Obviously, he's very new to this. The sample size is very small, but I really like the swing. I really, really do.
Yeah, that's the thing I took note about is the results haven't quite been there yet, but the the night and day difference of the approach at the plate and the swing between Matt Shaw and Moises Ballesteros in their first action is just it's just really different. Moises doesn't look like he's overwhelmed.
No, there's a big difference between, making contact and not getting the ball to fall or lifting the ball too much than just getting your ass completely blown by. We've seen guys come up where they struggle mightily. They're having rough at bats. They're not making contact. They're chasing bad pitches. Moises Ballesteros, he looks like he belongs. It's just a matter of straightening things out a little bit, making some tweaks, trying to get back into things. And, it's a different ball game up here in the majors, but nothing's to me suggests that so far it's a very small sample size, but there's no suggestion to me that he's getting completely overwhelmed at all.
Yeah, no, no, not even a little bit. Like you wish for his sake that you'd got you know, uh some better results, but it's not all about the results
I
at that
also,
early age.
yeah, and I also can't say I love Craig Counsell pulling him the way he has in these games, like pinch hitting him for Turner when it's already 6-2. It's just let him get his at bats, man.
Got to have the old man have at bats.
Hmm. Hey, now
Um,
he did hit a clutch walk off the other day.
yes. Um, we also had more action from Cade Horton. What are you thinking about Cade Horton so far?
I think you're seeing a lot of promise. You're also seeing the struggles of a young pitcher. I think that there's a lot of work to be done with some of the command spots in the zone. We're seeing a lot of those 0-2 hangers that can be an issue for a lot of young pitchers. I mean, let's face it, a lot of young pitchers have to work on execution of command both in and out of the zone. You don't want to hang a lot of pitches when you get ahead in counts. That's just something to work on. His start against the Sox, I didn't see it in real time, but I watched, all the highlights and the tape and everything. And you saw him grind away. It wasn't dominating, it wasn't overly overpowering, but you see the stuff play in the majors, and it's all about just him growing as a pitcher in the majors. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, but the stuff is there and he looks like he belongs.
Yes, yes, yes. And
Like,
remember this too. He was pitching, regardless of the opponent, he was pitching on a very tough day when the wind was howling out.
Yeah. And for the most part, he like ended up with a good day. If you could get away from one player.
Yeah, Miguel Vargas, who's been playing very well for the Sox, but I mean, he got the win.
Yeah. So I mean, he looks like he belongs, um, and that's a good thing for the Cubs. It's a good thing. Um, Also, we have reinforcements coming up. Kenta Maeda. You know, there's one point. There's a point in time where that would have been amazing news.
Oh yeah, that would have been huge news. Huge news. I mean, he was once a very good starter with the Dodgers. I mean, remember watching him facing off the Cubs in the playoffs in 16 and 17?
Yeah, it just that it's been a minute since that was the case. So, uh, when I saw the news that the Cubs were signing him to a contract, I was like, what the hell year is it?
Yeah, really. And I mean, you're just trying to stockpile arms. And hey, they found Drew Pomeranz, and you found guys like Brad Keller. You found guys like Chris Flexen. I'm not saying they're going to maintain being great this whole time, but when you have the pitching injuries you have, you need arms.
It and you don't necessarily always need arms when the bats are coming alive like they have been. Uh,
Yeah, but you guys get injured, and it's good to stockpile your organization as much as possible.
No, I was half joking. I mean, the
Yeah,
Cubs
fair
bats,
enough.
the Cubs bats have just been, you know, like ridiculous. And the one game where they won what 10-3 against the White Sox, I was texting Gary because that was like a day game. I was coming out of work and I was like, it was at the end of the game, and I was like, oh man, Ryan Presley can even feel confident that he can close this one out.
Wow. Wow. Picking on Gary?
No, no, I was picking on Ryan Presley
Ah, but also kind of picking on Gary.
a little bit.
I
Because,
was
well,
gonna say,
he to be fair, he texted me. He's like, the White Sox are peaking at the wrong time for the Cubs, huh? And the Cubs did okay against them.
well,
Uh,
I'll be honest with you. I thought this series was going to be a lot tougher. I really did. And you look at how it lined up. The Sox were coming in pretty hot and they were winning what, three of their last four series? They beat the Astros 2-3. They beat the Reds 2-3. They beat the Marlins 2-3. You think, okay, the Sox are playing well. Their starting pitching has looked very, very good. Jonathan Cannon has looked very good, who we faced today. Uh, was it Shane Smith? Has looked great, obviously. And they both pitched okay. I think today Jonathan Cannon was really, really good until things kind of fell apart towards the end. I mean, I think he set down like what, 13 in a row? He was looking locked in and you know, things kind of fell apart, but he threw a pretty good game, I would say. And then with Smith on Friday, he was pitching well throughout most of the game, but that second inning, where his defense didn't really help him out either, that's when things kind of got away from him. But my whole point being was you saw that on the schedule and you're like, okay, the Cubs have some pitchers who've pitched overall pretty well this season so far, and the Sox are playing decent baseball. So I thought it was going to be a little closer, but not to pick on the Sox or any of our Sox listeners, but it just wasn't. Miguel Vargas was great for the Sox. Chase
yeah,
Mydroth was good for the Sox. He looks like a promising player, but there wasn't really much else outside of that. I mean, we know their bullpen's bad. That,
that's
you know,
that's it was not helpful. I mean, that first game uh, is every single pitcher that came in for the White Sox gave up runs, every single one. Um, and uh, let's see who all pitched. Smith gave up six, only one earned, but the defense behind him really that was a toughie because that set you in a hole really bad. And the White Sox just they don't have the horses to be able to have a slugfest with the Cubs, especially with how bad their bullpen is. Um, but so when you're in a hole like that, you just really need your defense to back you up and try to your offense has been pretty decent as of late. And if you can keep defense keep you into games, especially with some of the starting pitching that's been pretty darn good considering what they spend on it. Uh, but then Gilbert, Iser, Castro, Gomez all gave up runs. Every single one of them. And two guys didn't get more than one out.
hmm
Um, so, you know, I didn't think the Cubs would sweep, especially since the Cubs have been pretty bad about, not pulling off the sweep.
Well, and they, didn't look that spectacular against the Marlins in the
That's
previous series.
that
They
was
needed a miracle comeback to win a series against them at home.
yeah, and that final game, the one they lost 3-1, just that was a tough one. I mean, you know, uh you finally got a good result from the bullpen, but man, the bats were cold.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were non-existent in the finale, and then they were non-existent in the middle game until the ninth inning. So you were kind of thinking, okay, how is this going to translate against the White Sox pitching staff that has some pretty good starters? And again, I mentioned the Wrigley Wind earlier. is the Cubs played that to their advantage. Now the White Sox out-homered you this series. They out-homered you 5-2, but the Cubs put it in play and the Sox had some trouble with that wind. We saw several fly balls drop. One from PCA that dropped. That was originally in foul territory. The wind blew it fair. We saw today, I think it was what, Brooks Baldwin dropped the ball and left, and the Cubs ended up having a big inning. And there was the Vidal Brujan double yesterday that could have been caught. Was it Palacios out there? So the sun and the wind wreaked some havoc in the outfield, and the Cubs were able to take advantage of that.
Right. So I want to ask your opinion here. So overall, how are you feeling right now about the Cubs bullpen as a whole?
It depends on the day. You know, it's this pen will go 2 out of 3 days looking really sharp, but that third day will look so bad, it'll just blow up epically in their faces.
Okay, let's do it this way. Excuse me. If if you are ranking your confidence in the Cubs bullpen on what is today, the May May 18th, you're ranking the Cubs bullpen players by your confidence level in them. Who are you most confident in?
Brad Keller,
I would agree with that one. And then next,
Drew Pomeranz,
maybe Caleb.
Thielbar.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't know if I'd go second, but I'd put him higher with the way he's pitched recently.
Um, so who would be your last? Who would be your least confident?
Right now, Julian Merriweather does not look good.
Yeah. I Do you think something's wrong?
That tick and fastball going down,
It's more than a tick. I mean, isn't
few
it like
ticks, really.
it's like 2 or 3 miles an hour drop? I don't think some. I mean, I don't know if he's injured or there's some discomfort. I don't know. He doesn't seem right.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I just wonder if there's going to be a Phantom IL stint. I don't know. But the past month, he started off great, and then recently it has not looked good.
Yeah, he at one point he was a guy that you were hopeful about and you had some confidence in, and just it is just really bottomed out. And like that's and with the way the fastball velocity has dropped, just something doesn't seem right. And I hope it's just some, you know, soreness or discomfort, or some mechanic issue, and not a precursor to, oh well, now he's got some elbow soreness, and you're, oh shit.
Yeah.
um, if him missing 2 weeks to get right is what it needs, i'm I would rather have that happen than try to him power through and just be spotty at best.
Yeah. I I think it's funny how the White Sox and the Cubs came into this series with kind of similar bullpen numbers. If you looked at like the ERAs and the numbers, they weren't that dissimilar. I just think one of the issues is you've had a number of good outings from the bullpen from the Cubs, but it kind of evened itself out in a bad way because when things go south, they go really, really south. I mean, when you talk about this circle of trust, you asked what, the first top two guys? Like,
Mhm.
that could change in a few weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's changed since the start of the season.
It's changed multiple times since the start of the season. And you know who I still think is higher on my list is Porter Hoge. because I think like 3 out of 4 times he's good, but we've seen him have some really bad outings too.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough if you're making a list today and encompassing the entire season so far. Um, it's it's hard not to put him smack dab in the middle of that list because, for every time you watch him, you're like, ooh, look at this guy. All right, maybe I put him in my top two or three, and then you just go, ooh, man, maybe I put him in my bottom three. It's sort of washes itself out. Um, I would probably uh I would probably have him somewhere right in the middle of the confidence level in that bullpen. I mean, definitely behind Thielbar, Pomeranz, Keller, maybe even behind Palencia. Like
And
right along,
that's another one who's rising up there.
yeah, maybe Porter Hogan and Chris Flexen somewhere similar.
Well, Hoge has the better stuff. I think they're two very different pitchers, obviously. Um, like I think Hoge has the best stuff in the bullpen. It's just the execution sometimes isn't there. I mean, is that fair to say?
I would say that's fair.
Now, here's the one where I'm complicated with. And you might guess who I'm thinking of.
Ryan Presley?
Yes. Because I don't want him to close,
No.
but he doesn't miss enough bats. At this point in his career, let's make that clear. He does not miss enough bats. But outside of that horrific blow up he had against the Giants, he's pitched okay. Not closer stuff, not even setup man stuff. But if you were to tell me that you'd get the Ryan Presley that has pitched outside that blow up and that one near blown save against the Diamondbacks, I'd say, okay, I'd feel okay with him coming in the seventh inning.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, he's been scary but okay. Um, and I say scary because of the complete meltdowns and also the fact that he doesn't miss bats. And you're like, oh my God. You're holding your breath and when he goes in. But for the most part, the results have not been like dreadful outside of a few dreadful instances.
Well, I mean, the real dreadful one was that Giants was one of the worst relief outings I think I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I mean that you when you look at those numbers, you're like, oh man, did an outfielder come in to pitch a blowout game? No,
Exactly.
you're like that. That's like Jose Canseco pitching numbers. Um, you're like, no, that was a game that went into extra innings. Like, oh okay,
Yeah, you lost by 9 runs and it was tied 5-5 in extras.
yeah. Um, so I just want a little stability, and I think if you could find one guy that just is consistent and rises up just the rest of the year. Just, I mean, it doesn't have to be great, just really consistent. You can start using that to find stability in the rest of the bullpen. It's like finding that anchor point. I mean, preferably it's your closer. It's the guy that, you can anchor to that guy, everything else. But if you can just find one guy who you feel uh is consistent, like what you're getting from him, you can start setting the table up around that.
Right.
It just right now like to your point, there's so much inconsistency that you just, I mean, like I feel bad for Counsell. I think sometimes he's just throwing, you know, he's rolling the dice. He's like, I don't know, let's see what
He got a whole packet of ham and he's just throwing it at the wall, seeing what sticks.
Let's see what Chris Flexen looks like today. Let's see what Ryan Presley looks like today. Oh,
Well,
that was a bad choice.
let's see what Kenta Maeda has today. As I sit here with my very, very bland monotone features.
But the funny part is he sounds so bland, but then he'll throw like a witty zinger in there. And you're
Oh, he
like,
will. Oh,
and
he
then,
will.
and sometimes they're mean spirited. And you're like, hey, wait a minute.
It's like Kevin from The Office. It's like he's dozing off listening to Craig Counsell, and then Craig Counsell will insult him, and you'll see him continue to doze off, and then all of a sudden, hey.
Uh, but switching to the White Sox is it's tough. Like they're not a good team. And for a little bit I was like, are they starting to turn a corner? And I think they're trying to turn a corner.
Yes.
You for the most part, you're starting pitching. You're just like, especially Shane Smith is a really good pitcher.
Very good pitcher.
I mean that was absolutely a gem find from a Rule 5. Like that was like when you look at, oh yeah, what can you do with a Rule 5? Like that should be the poster child.
Yeah, they look like they won the Rule 5 draft, that's for sure.
Yeah. So um he's really good. And then most of your starters have given you respectable numbers. And you're like, okay, especially when you consider what you're spending on or on your starting rotation. You're spending nothing. And
Right, exactly. And you're seeing a lot of what you have.
it's the bullpen is terrible. And that's been it since day one. I mean, you put these two teams together, Cubs and the White Sox, and you're not fielding a good bullpen period with two teams. Um, but you're giving opportunities to young players. And that's the point where you're like, okay, that's how we start winning. It's still frustrating when you have defensive gaffes or you know just boneheaded plays that cause that cause you to lose because you have very very little margin of error if you're the White Sox. You
Right.
just don't. That's the reality, and it's not trying to be mean. That's just the reality of what you've built. Um, and not playing sound defense or not making smart plays really cuts into that very small margin of error. And um, so it's it's tough to clean up some of those things mid-season. Those are spring training cleanup things. So I think you sort of have to live with some of those. But again, I can live with those things coming from young players.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the older established players who are just like, I can't take that behavior. I can't take what you're giving me. And uh so it's it's you can definitely see the winds of change starting to blow. I just don't know what the time frame is going to look like and what a turn, like a real turn, looks like, because it's not going to be some sharp thing where they figured it out and put it all together. It's going to be real baby steps with this team.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have such a long way to go with building a roster, and you got a lot of prospects, so you're going to see how those guys grow over time. Obviously, like I mentioned before, I think Chase Mydroth might be something. I mean, he was pretty impressive over this weekend at Wrigley Field. He hit some balls in the gap. He hit one over the fence, and that home run he hit, his first of his career. Congratulations, by the way. That was like at his face. Like Matthew Boyd didn't make a bad pitch. He just got up and got it. Like that is a pure tip the hat to him.
Yeah.
Like,
I,
very well done.
I mean, I still say Chase Mydroth probably, like, I don't think he's a star. I think he's a, a good solid player. Like
Yeah.
I'll keep saying a Nico Horner.
Yeah, a good player. Yes.
Yeah. I think
Potential
that's
to
what,
be.
yeah. Um, and I still don't know what Elko is, but boy, does he got some power. He
I
just,
it, yeah, I see him as kind of their Patrick Wisdom type.
yeah, that's my comparison is I don't know if he's good, but boy, does he have some power and power on a team that's rebuilding is is needed. You need it.
Hmm.
And there's some guys that have power that don't they've got a lot of holes in their swing and they don't do a lot of other things but hit home runs like Patrick Wisdom. And when you're rebuilding, you can put up with, all right, that on base percentage is not great, you know, the but he gives us those home runs that we need to, to score some runs. We can live with the strikeouts, we can live with the low on base percentage. And but when you get better, you're like, okay, that's a dude that we need to upgrade from. And the Cubs went through that. They're like, they had Wisdom for how many years? And I kept saying yeah, you need to upgrade from him, but you haven't. He's at some point you've got to be better than Patrick Wisdom. And to be honest with you, like right now, you're like, man, I kind of wish we had a Patrick Wisdom. I mean,
Do we really want to?
is he a better fielder than any of the other third basemen that you're throwing out there?
Well, I want a good Matt Shaw. That's what I want.
Well, that's what I want. But I'm saying is, all right, you know, Matt Shaw is, I mean, is he might be close to coming back. I don't know. But in the meantime, I mean, would you rather have Patrick Wisdom or Bruhan?
I mean, that's a good point. Although Bruhan had a good series, what I don't really care for is watching Nicky Lopez and John Birdie get a lot of at
Okay.
bats. And I
Would
I
you
sup-
rather have Patrick Wisdom or Nicky Lopez?
I I guess Patrick Wisdom, Nicky Lopez can field. And I didn't mind bringing him in, but like that should be your last resort. The one that's disappointed me is John Birdie because I actually liked that signing, but it's been bad.
Yeah, that has not been good. Um, Not been good at all.
No, no. I mean, really, in my opinion, I've been very pro take your time with Matt Shaw, but I'm at the point where, and he's hitting very well, and he might be up this week. We'll see. There's rumors that he will be, but uh, I'm at the point where I'd rather just try to have him figure it out than watching what we've been watching because it has just been brutal.
Um, I will put this out there is, do you know what Patrick Wisdom's OPS is right now in the KBO for the Kia Tigers?
What is it?
898.
Yes, and who's he playing for?
The Kia Tigers.
Exactly. I
Uh,
wanted you to repeat that.
he's still only betting 240.
Well, all he needs to do is hit him out.
Uh, but that's that's slugging. He's got a 537 slugging,
You know,
361 on base.
there hasn't been a single home run from a third baseman this year by the Cubs. Matt Shaw's one home run was a pinch hit home run.
I mean,
That's horrible. For as many things as this lineup is, could you imagine if we had Alex Bregman over there right now with everybody else doing what they're doing? We might
that
be the best team in baseball.
yeah, I mean, Patrick Wisdom has 9 home runs.
Would you? Hey, and you know what? I was a Wisdom supporter, even though he stayed around here too long and he got a lot of grief for it. I gave him his props. The guy came up as a late bloomer, a guy that should have been just a flash in the pan and gave you 3 straight years of 20 plus home runs and an OPS of around 800. I will give him his props, but no more. We're done with that. Mr. Guangdong Tiger, whoever he plays with, I don't know.
Uh, Patrick Wisdom. No, no. This, you're right. You were absolutely right. He was absolutely good for what they needed for time, and then sort of overstayed when he should have. And but I'm just trying to joke around. He is having a good season in Korea though. Um, but yeah, the White Sox it's just a tough sled when your high paid veterans are terrible. And
Well, that's the thing. Luis Robert, a guy who normally kills the Cubs and destroys baseballs at Wrigley Field every time he's come to the North Side, didn't do anything this weekend.
does he even like baseball anymore?
I honestly don't know. That is a guy that looks like he is just going through the motions. I mean, he still plays a hell of a center field, but at the plate,
What do you think the trade market for him looks like?
so I still think there'll be plenty of teams interested because I think a number of teams will look at him and say, if we get him into our scenery, maybe that will help him. He's got too much talent to be this bad.
Yeah, but what are they going to give up for him?
Well, that's the thing. You're going to be selling him for pennies at the dollar if he doesn't really turn things around at this point.
I wonder though with the ownership transition if the edict is going to be out there to just dump salary because if you you know tell the GM you say listen you've got to get rid of him because we got to get rid of the contract and somebody's you're going to have to eat some of it but somebody's going to take it and give you basically nothing for it. Um, but you could do that. But if you're trying to trade him and actually get value to make your team better in the future, it's not going to happen. Like even if he goes on a hot streak, before the trade deadline, there's just there's too much bad baggage there of either between injuries and just not playing well that you're like, all right, this seems more fluky than anything.
Right.
Um, I'm like, I agree with you. There's probably teams out there that think they can fix him, but I don't think anybody's willing to risk giving up a good prospect or something for him.
Well, right. I mean, they're not going to try to overpay, but I think there will definitely be teams interested. I still think the Reds could call up. I think haven't the Mets been linked to him?
Yeah, the Mets have been
I've
linked to him.
heard that.
Yeah, that's the team I've heard the most smoke about.
Yeah, recently at least. So I'd rather that he'd go somewhere outside of the NL Central, but um, I still think there's a number of possibilities out there, especially if somebody gets hurt. Like even in division, I don't know if they would trade him in division. I'm just throwing this out there. I mean, you know how Byron Buxton always gets hurt, right?
Yeah,
And the
that's his
Twins,
MO.
yeah, and the Twins are playing much, much better. And if Byron Buxton goes down for a while, you know, do they at least kick the tires on it, knowing that the tax would probably be higher in division? I don't know if the Sox would do that, but maybe they would at least garner some interest. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. The other big news with the White Sox is Shoeless Joe Jackson has been reinstated.
Yes, and he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Will he be though?
I think so. I think
Uh,
so.
I mean, he deserves it. He should be. Um, but you feel like I don't know. At least I feel like that they reinstated some other people just so they can't. I mean, just so they're not reinstating Pete Rose at the same time. Like just by him, not just a Pete Rose thing. That they're like, oh, there's other people too. Um, but it makes me feel like with the timing and political pressure that this was about Pete Rose, and they're trying to, you know, put some, uh, bows on it to make it look like it's not all about Pete Rose.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is something to that. I think personally, when it comes to Shoeless Joe Jackson, a lot of people wanted him in there. Like, let's be real. Shoeless Joe Jackson wasn't in there because he was banned by Judge Landis back in 1920. And there were obviously the Black Sox were disgraced by many, but you look over the history of how many people wanted him in there. Hell, I mean, look at one of the main plots of Field of Dreams. A lot of that was about Shoeless Joe. And then you saw Ray Liotta batting the wrong way playing Shoeless Joe. But I still love that movie. Don't get me wrong. And rip Ray Liotta, he's a great actor. But um, point being is, I think a lot of people want Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame. I think everybody acknowledges that Pete Rose as a player should be in the Hall of Fame, but a lot of people don't like the person.
Yes.
That's where the divide comes in. And, here's the thing. I don't like Pete Rose as a person at all. You read some of the stuff, it's pretty gross. Um, but there's also the fact that there are some absolutely reprehensible people in the Hall of Fame as it is. So there's that
Honus Wagner,
double-edged Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb is the worst. That dude is a terrible person.
So it's a double-edged sword. And it's the same debates you get into if you start letting guys that did steroids in. Because if you let Barry Bonds in, guess what? You got to let McGuire in. You got to let Sosa in. You got to let Clemens in. You got to let Canseco in. You got to let Rafael Palmeiro in. You got to let Manny Ramirez in.
Roger Clemens.
Yes, Roger Clemens.
Yeah, there's the whole slew of them. I don't want to open those floodgates. I don't. Um, I've been vocal about Pete Rose should be in, but I get why he wasn't, and I'm not fighting it. But I just it gives me the ick thinking about all the steroid users going in.
I can live with it. I can live with it just because we know, especially now, and this is just my opinion, this is simply my opinion, is steroids hit a lot harder for me when I was a kid. And I'm not saying that I want to encourage that use. Obviously, it's been banned now. But to me, steroids are not as big of a crime as other crimes that have been committed by people who are in the Hall of Fame and just people in sports in general. Like the shame of steroids doesn't hit me with some of the other horrors that we know have gone on behind the scenes in organized sports. But that's just how I see it. But I understand not wanting those guys to get in there. In my opinion is if they get in, fine. If they don't, I'm not going to lose sleep over it either. That's kind of where I'm at.
Uh, Like if they put him in, wait until they're dead, like Pete Rose, so they don't get to reap the benefit of it. But then baseball gets because that whole era, it's it's a weird story to tell, not having an entire era in the Hall of Fame. But
Especially an era that kind of saved the game after the strike.
yeah, I mean it's true. Uh, but it's also tough to know that they cheated and lied and um and where I really feel bad is there's players that were like I'm not taking that stuff, and then their careers are nowhere near the same because they were competing against people that were juicing.
It really is crazy how much double-edged swords there are just lying around the Baseball Hall of Fame. Because I feel like it's a constant, well, if you do this, then you got to do this, or you look like a hypocrite. or you got to do this, and then you have to do this. There's so much of that. At the end of the day, it's a museum. It's just a shrine of baseball.
What's funny is, have you ever been there?
Yes, I loved it.
I,
Loved
I,
it.
is honestly the Hall of Fame player plaques. Like it was cool, but what was really cool is the inside, just like the history of baseball.
Right, the
You know,
artifacts.
yeah, that was the part. Like I was just fascinated. Like when I don't know how I've only been there once, so I don't know how often things rotate in there. But like when I was in there, the Shawnometer was in there, and you know that was that was before you were born. But man, that was awesome to me. Every day I would watch the Cubs play, and you would see the Shawnometer get updated throughout the game, and you're like, and to see it in person, you're like, oh my God, that's the Shawnometer. That's the real Shawnometer. And just like things like that. In the history of baseball, is it that important? But it was
They're relics of a time.
yes, and it was just a neat thing. And to me, that was way more interesting than who's actually enshrined. Like like it was neat because I've seen pictures of what the plaques look like so much to actually see them. Uh, and I went and I found like my favorite players. Um, but that was not the most interesting part.
I want to
Uh,
go back. My family and I went there in 2014, and I just really want to go back.
yeah, my wife and I went, and I would love to go back. I've been to Cooperstown. I've been to Canton.
So have I
Um,
when I was very little.
yeah, I really liked Canton. I want to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I was there too when I was little. Saw the
Um,
original Stanley Cup.
yeah, I would love to do that, but um, yeah, like maybe 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 I'll actually make the trip out this year um when Pete Rose gets inducted.
Well, I will say this, and I don't know how much time you spent there, but I thought that Cooperstown had some great eats, some really nice restaurants over there.
I spent one day. It was in and out. We,
Gotcha.
my wife and I were doing like a road trip camping, like half camping, half hotel type trip through upstate New York, and we did though, but we were in and out, saw the Hall of Fame. So I would like to spend more time.
It's great. You go to the Louisville Slugger store, you go to Doubleday Field, and like I said, there are some really good restaurants over there, some very casual diners. This There was this one right across the street, this really nice Italian restaurant, some of the best Italian food I ever had. And I've eaten a lot of Italian food.
Yeah, and I want to go back to Canton too, and see and spend more time there. I just spent a couple of hours there, and
Yeah, I was so young when I was there. I barely remember it.
I was just there because uh my ex's sister played um college volleyball for Akron, and we were visiting, and we're like, let's just pop over because Akron and Canton aren't very far apart. And so it's just there for just a couple of hours. So I didn't get to see the whole thing, but it was just cool. There was so much bear stuff. So much bear stuff. It was awesome.
Hmm.
Um, let's wrap this up with just a couple quick points. Not surprising, the uh the Bulls did not move up or down in the draft lottery.
Wah, 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 wah. Rigged.
So I've heard a lot of people say that is rigged, and
Nico Harrison makes one of the most controversial trades in the history of American sports, not just basketball, but in professional sports. And then they get the number one pick. It's just kind of funny. But you know what's not funny? Guess who had the coin flip with them?
that yeah,
Us.
that would have been nice. Or if they wouldn't hit that half court shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what the Bulls' plan is, but they're not getting saved by a lucky ping pong ball.
All we had like what 1.7% chance. That was the same odds of the Bulls being relevant again.
It's true.
And okay, can we just establish this right here and now? They're not getting Giannis.
No, they're
Not
not.
happening.
I think he's either going to go probably to the Lakers. That's my if you have if put a gun to my head right now, I think he's going to wind up as a Laker.
Not the Guangdong Tigers.
What was the team, the Chinese team that Stefan Marbury played with for a long time? Old
Oh,
Starberry.
I don't remember.
Mm, uh,
Yeah,
um,
I don't remember for the life of me.
but and then with Blackhawks, we're starting to get some traction on, you know, things coming out about potential head coaches. So now we've heard
Yeah,
of some interviews.
there's one where people are talking about it a lot. It's that ex Red Wings coach.
Is it Blashill?
Yes. And like that right there to me is the absolute definition of a meh hire. I'm not saying it's going to be the hire, but there's been some smoke around that one. Maybe just for the fact that he has experience. And I know the pool right now isn't very deep in terms of candidates with experience, but that is one of the guys out there. So that the potential of that to me is just very, very meh.
I mean, I get that it's tough to judge him on that Detroit run because that was that was during the time that they were tearing that team down. Um, uh, from his first season to his second season with the Red Wings, they got rid of 11 of their top 12 scorers from the previous season.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like it was all his fault. And you're absolutely right. Those rosters were going downhill. And they were in that weird spot in the mid 2010s where they had spent so many years just trying to keep that playoff streak alive. They overpaid so many old veterans. They didn't have much of a farm and they were kind of stuck in purgatory. And eventually you had to kind of steer into a direction which included a rebuild. So that's definitely a good point. And I'm not saying it would be a terrible hire. It's not a hire that would jump out to me like, oh, yeah, this is a slam dunk.
Yeah,
But
I'm
maybe
not
we'd
a
be proven wrong. I don't
yeah,
know.
I mean he may be good, he may be terrible. I it won't I won't be excited about it.
Right. I
But
won't be excited. I won't say it's awful.
I'm just gonna go, okay. I don't know enough right now uh to have an opinion. I'm just gonna sit back and cross my fingers.
It's like Marvin from Pulp Fiction. Man, I don't even have an opinion. Well, you gotta have an opinion. I hope you get that reference.
I do. I do.
That one of the best scenes in movie history.
That movie is just great.
That I think might be Tarantino's finest work.
Look at the big brain on Brad.
I just I love John Travolta. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face. Like he's just like, oh crap. Why the fuck did you do that? Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. Just shoot a guy in the face. Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Uh, why is that movie so good?
It's well written and it's got such a great cast. I mean, it's got a superstar cast that all fits together perfectly. It's just full of so much wittiness. I need to watch it again all the way through. It's been a while.
Uh, Does he look like a bitch?
Does he
Does
look
he look
like a
like a
bitch?
bitch?
That might be probably the most famous line from that movie, right?
Probably. I mean, for a while it was. I mean, I think maybe Royale with cheese might have started to overtake it. Um, yeah, maybe a few others. Uh, yeah, but at one point that was far and away like the biggest quote.
Yeah, I mean that is a classic.
The wolf might be my favorite character in that movie. Mm, Man, it's such a good movie. I might have to watch that this week.
Yeah, I know. I've caught up on the TV shows I've been watching, so if I have time this week, kind of a busy week, but if I have time, maybe I'll watch it.
I've got to finish Andor.
I just finished it.
I went back. I stopped and I went back to rewatch season one because I forgot so much. Uh, season one, and I'm like halfway through that, and then I'll go back to season two, and then watch Rogue One, and then Pulp Fiction.
There you go. I actually um I finished Andor this week, and then I watched Rogue One right afterwards, and it felt so good. I suggest you do the same.
Oh yeah, that's my plan is to wrap it up where I have enough time to sit down and watch that last episode, and then go right into Rogue One.
Yeah. And then if you really want to be great, then go right into A New Hope.
Got to plan the whole day.
Yeah, really.
Well, we got a holiday coming up, so
Oh, that's true. That's true. We got Memorial Day, so if you don't have any plans, then you can do
now
that.
now you do.
Yeah. See? It's all figured out for you.
Yeah, A New Hope is bittersweet for me though.
Why is that?
My dude gets shot.
Oh, right. But that's where your dude shows up.
Uh, uh, but wrapping this up with the Blackhawks, Pierre LeBrun said he's expecting a Blackhawks decision hire within the next 7 to 10 days. So, um, this might be starting to be heat up, and that wouldn't be that surprising. I'd given historically what the time frame of NHL hires are between uh when the first domino falls to when the last one does, and we're starting that window now, so it would
Hmm.
not be shocking. And the weird part is like there's a lot of openings, but the candidates really aren't that overlapping. It's not like in the NFL where everyone's competing for the same people. Like it is not. There's been some that are teams looking for retreads, some that are looking for people with no NHL experience, and just the gamut.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because I mean, you've seen some dominoes fall very, very quickly. So that tells you guys know where they wanted to go. And teams knew who they wanted to go after. Like they weren't even doing due diligence. They're like, yep, we want him. Like the Rangers, they jumped on the ex Pittsburgh coach very, very quickly. They're like, Sullivan, all right, we want you. He wanted him. Boom, done.
Yep. So Rick Tocchet off the board, Adam Foote off the board, and neither,
Avalanche legend Adam Foote,
yeah,
for
and
you
neither
information.
one of them were candidates for the Blackhawks. They weren't even on the radar. So
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of Adam Foote.
Adam Foote,
He was a captain for a long time, right, for the Avalanche, wasn't he?
I believe so. I
I
remember him
thought he was
playing,
their
but
captain.
um,
I know he was obviously he's one of their all-time players, but I'm trying to remember if he was a captain for a majority of the time there. It's been a while.
yeah, I don't remember if he was captain or not, but I remember him on the Avalanche for a long time.
Yep. Won some bling there. Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Long time player, good player.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope, I've said my piece.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe, however you listen to podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends, how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_sports_podcast for us on Instagram. And Shy Vampat 2 for Alex on Twitter/X, and AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Denver New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears.
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down